Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Should be working now. All right, great. That happens when I had to unplug everything, disconnect the whole system, connected it back, and works now. Hey Nick, how you doing? Fantastic. Hey Jen B, how you doing? Good morning, Karsten. Hey Spiros. Tell you what, it's been such a long time. I'm getting back into the groove. I'm sorting things out, so we might be a bit all over the place today, but I'm sure it'll be okay. 1 minute before we get started. Good to have you all back with me. Super glad to be back. How's the trading been? It's going to be a big week this week, so here to give you the insights. As usual, when I traded a little bit while I was away, but now that I'm back, today is just watching the markets, seeing what's happening before I really get into the swing of things again. So it's good that we're having a little bit of a quiet day today before we get more volatility possibly later on today, most likely tomorrow or the day after. BL, the market is never predictable. It's never predictable. Just have to take a little bit of risk, you know, understand the risk, take a little bit of risk, then execute a trade based on your trading plan. Almost impossible to predict the markets. I'll share with you guys a quote that I've learned and really resonated with me. So I'll share it with you in the group later. In fact, I have it on my arm. You can see. I have it on my arm right here. I would see it. Yeah, there it is. I'll share more with you guys about that shortly. Alrighty, so let's get started again. If you're new to the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. I just came back from a trip in Dubai, traveled to the UAE for a couple of days, well, actually a week, and back into the flow of things. So if you are in the region, the UAE region in Dubai, drop a message, say hi, let me know that you are there. I would love, the next time I'm there, I would love to catch up with more people in the region, right? And for all the regulars, PL, Bell, Matic, Spiros, Karsten, Jen B, Robbie, Nick, Ahmed, for all of you guys, thank you for tuning in. Good to have you guys back. All the regulars, I'm sure that you guys have been contributing a lot in the group, so I'm very glad to see that. And I'm back to help you guys with your trading journey as well with this daily market analysis. I would like to say that we do this daily from at 3 p.m., but it hasn't been daily. It has been a bit intermittent, but I'll do it as often as I can, right, in between all the travels. So during this daily market analysis, what I do is I look at the fundamentals, the news that we had, the news that we're coming up with, the technicals in terms of where price is, where price could head towards, and we look for some possible trade setups. It's not a tattoo, it's a short-term, it's a henna tattoo, so it lasts for only 10, at the most 10 days, that's what I was told. So, just having something there is a bit of a reminder of the journey. All right. Hey, Angel Case, how are you doing? So with that quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar is not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product. Your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay, so if you do have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let me know. I'll be happy to address your questions. I do realize that a lot of people are watching, a lot of people are in the session, whether it's live or whether it's later on as you rewatch the stream. Do help me out. Click that like button, click that subscribe button on YouTube or on TradingView. That would help massively to get us more viewers onto the session. And if you haven't already, the link is there. Do join the Discord channel as well. Okay. So let's get to it. You can see that I cleared all of my charts. I was looking at stuff. So we're pretty much starting quite fresh. In terms of news, I'm not going to do a big recap of what has happened over the last week. Or maybe I will. Let's just do a quick one. Okay. So last week, Monday onwards, we saw some Chinese GDP. I'll go through the main ones here. Mainly being that we saw retail sales a little bit surprising that it dropped. That's going to have some impact on the interest rate decision from the FOMC later this week. EV CPI, pound CPI was a big surprise here. It went from the 8.7, expected 8.2, came out at 7.9. I think I was putting that out to you guys in the group before the news. This was one of the trades. I didn't have a lot of time to trade, so I was jumping into trades a little bit earlier, doing my analysis before the session or before leaving the hotel, getting into a trade, letting it run. So this actually worked out quite nicely. The pound dollar on the news release was at that point there. So we were highlighting that if it broke below 1.03, right? I was highlighting in the Discord channel, if it broke below 1.03, we could see further downside, expecting a slowdown in inflation growth for the UK. Did not expect it to drop as much as 7.2, 7.9, but that actually helped that big push to the downside, right? So that news got released, broke 1.3, went all the way down within the day to a low of 1.2867 or 0.2870, bouncing before continuing down a little bit more. Okay, so that was a pound dollar with the CPI news, where employment numbers for the Aussies, and then not much else. The main thing for this week, just to give you an overview of what's going to happen this week, is we do have a bunch of PMI numbers to be released in the next 5 minutes onwards. The Euro, French manufacturing PMI, services manufacturing PMI to be released. 46 to 46.1, 48 to 48.5. Not a big change. I'm not expecting a big move here on the Euro. Also with the German PMI numbers, manufacturing and services, 40.6 to 40.9, 54.1 to 53.2. It's going to be a bit of a mixed bag in terms of the PMI numbers. And then the UK, so manufacturing and services PMI, 46.5, 46.1. Not a big change there. 53.7 to 53.1, also not a big change. So I'm not expecting big price movers here, right, for today. And you'll also see that for this whole day, pretty much today being Monday, right, dollar index started at about 101. It reached a high of 101.10, set in that whole consolidation, only right now dropping from 101, below 101, down and it might be breaking. So I'm looking for this move, but without a big price, without big fundamental news, I don't think we're going to see a massive break and a continuation to the downside. Okay, so I'll just be very careful for today. Using BL's line, I would say that market is still not very predictable at this point. There are going to be, I think there are going to be good trends developing later into the week. Hi, Haida, how are you doing? And what I mean by trends developing later into the week, we do have the Aussie CPI number to be released year on year, 5.6 to a 5.5%. A small drop in CPI. I don't think it's going to do too much at this point. We have seen the RBA with their interest rate stance, so I think it's going to be still continuing on, not a big change. The Aussie dollar is still going to be driven a lot by the dollar index. Okay, but the main thing here is where the fireworks starts on Thursday. Right? Fireworks starts on Thursday. US Fed funds rate looking to go from a 5.25 to a 5.5%. A small increase, another small increase from the Fed's 25 basis points. I think that's pretty much priced in. All right, unless we see a big surprise here from the Fed, I think this is priced in. This 25 basis point rate hike is priced in. So over the next couple of days, we might see the dollar stabilize a little bit. I'm possibly anticipating that on Thursday, dollar could spike up before turning back down again. It all depends not so much on the number of 5.5, but it all depends on what's said during the press conference. Okay, that's the crucial one, the press conference at 2:30 a.m. GMT plus 8. So I'll give you more updates on that as we head towards that session. Then on Thursday as well, what we also have is the ECB with their interest rate decision going from a 4 to a 4.25. Another 25 basis point rate hike to come from the ECB. Same thing, I think this is possibly priced in. What needs to happen is we'll see what happens here with the Feds. Then after that, it's going to develop, or we will see where price is and then develop into the next move on the ECB. Okay, so in terms of the Fed funds rate, I'll prep you on Wednesday. We might do a session on Thursday night. Oh no, Wednesday night, in the lead up to this Fed funds rate decision. Then, not to fret, what happens on Thursday during our daily market analysis session, I will update you in terms of where price is. We can see in terms of opportunities on the euro dollar with the ECB 25 basis point rate hike to come. Okay, and then the next one is the Bank of Japan monetary policy statement, outlook, and rates. Right? Not anticipating a surprise here in terms of rates. It is possibly or most likely going to stay at a minus 0.1%. However, the question is whether the Bank of Japan is going to adjust the YCC, the yield curve control. Okay, there were some headliners there. Where was it? I saw it just then. Okay, there were some headliners and questions about whether the Bank of Japan was going to, there we go, Bank of Japan likely to revise inflation projections. So if they do revise inflation projections, whether they're going to tweak the YCC. At this point, I think that with the way the dollar yen has moved, right, it was right at the bottom there at that 137.70 level, found a bit of a double bottom, bounce quite strongly, tested 142. We might see it trace back down. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do adjust. We will definitely see a drop in the yen, in dollar yen. If they don't adjust, then we might also still see a drop because that's going to disappoint the markets with no adjustments. Dollar index weakening, we might see this drop back down. So overall, I'm still looking at the dollar yen in that big downward move, looking for it to possibly trade back down in the longer term. Okay, so but that's on Friday, right? That's on Friday, and I'll update you more about that. Okay, so for now, I would say that it's possibly a little bit consolidative, but overall, we are possibly looking at some downward trajectory on the dollar index, some weakness, some brief weakness in the dollar. So, some brief upside on the euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie, and Kiwi, especially. Okay, so with that said, let's look at the charts. Hey AYJ, how are you doing? Good afternoon, Desiree. Good to have you with us. Okay, so you see that I cleared out my lines here on the dollar. There's been too many lines. I was trying to do some analysis. So at this point, I will take this away and call this our support level. Okay, take that away for now. And let's just test this point. Okay, so we possibly see the, all right, there we go. Dollar index did bounce up, right? It bounced up, it tested that 38.2 level, 38.2 retracement level, and failed to break higher, right? It tested, failed to break higher. Looks like it might be turning back down. So at this point, that way, let me clean up the chart. At this point, if the dollar index fails to break above that 101.20 level or that 38.2 pip retracement level, then we're likely to see that trade to the downside. No big news, overall downtrend. We've seen a bounce, looking for it to turn back down again. At this point, I wouldn't be rushing into a trade, as I was telling you. I would say that I would be waiting. Let's test another level for that. Right, I'll be waiting at this point. I think it's going to fluctuate within this level, maybe for today. We might see it trade down a little bit. I think it might just fluctuate within this level. Only looking for further downside on the dollar if it breaks below this 23.6 level, right? And more specifically below this 100.73 or 100.70 level before we're going to see further downside on the dollar index. So what I would say now is that could put this as a bit of a resistance. Dollar going to fluctuate between 100.70 and 101.20. So it's going to bounce within this range, but I'm still looking for that downward push. Okay, so DXY going to fluctuate between 100.70 and 101.20. Still looking for downside potential. Right? Here we go. So I think it's going to bounce around here and then possibly trade to the downside. If it does push up, just be very careful. do have the next level here at 101.58 or 101.60. Some of you might say that there is a bit of a gap here and it does need to close up. I think that it could close, but not today. I think that maybe with the interest rate decision, we could see a spike up close before coming back down again. Okay, so for today, I think for today to tomorrow, I think it's going to stay within this range. Make sense so far? If it makes sense, put in the chat, let me know. Then with that, on the Kiwi dollar, yeah, I'll clean out the charts again. Kiwi dollar, big downward push, bounced a little bit from 0.6240 back up to 63 before trading back down. You would notice that we have found a bit of a support here at that 6150 level, right in this whole range. To arrange that for you guys. So in this whole range, I would say that that's our support level, where it's bouncing back. It has been or is bouncing back up a little bit. This bounce is also because we saw that small move to the downside on the dollar index. Okay, so we're still looking for this to push up. How high can it go? I would say that, look at this. If it breaks above 23.6, I would like it to get to this point. Right, so also remember that we're talking about the dollar index consolidating in a little bit of a range. And you also notice that there is no big Kiwi news to be released. That's a bit of a surprise there. That's why we saw the dollar bounce back up. At this point, I would say that longer term move, I like this levels here. Right, so I like these levels here just because of those tops and then that bottom there. Okay, and then also because it's a 23.6 retracement level in the longer term dip retracement levels. So this could be something to look out for. So if it does break above this 6220 level, it could be looking to buy it up to the next. I wouldn't say it's a big resistance level, but interim level at 61.8 is that the 0.6315 level. Right, big resistance here at 6.4. So what you could be looking for here is a buying opportunity. 6235. Take profit 70 pips to the upside. Stop loss can be quite tight, no more than 25 pips. Looking for it to push up. Thank you, Matic. Hey Steve, how you doing? Okay, so I'll be looking for this on the TV dollar 6235, 25 pip, 20 pip stop loss. It could go for 25 and a 70 pip take profit to the upside. So NZD USD. We're looking to buy 0.6235, stop loss 25, take profit 70 to the upside. Okay, makes sense. Then onto the Aussie. That was a live trade that we did, that away. So now Aussie, same, very similar to the Kiwi, but a little bit less of the move, right? You can see Kiwi dollar forming a good bounce, but Aussie still lagging behind, still in that consolidative range between 6720 and 6740. So a tight 20 pip range there on the Aussie. And I'm looking at this. I note that we do have a resistance here at almost 0.69. We have a big big support here. Steve, open some positions at US 50. We can look at that. Oh, US 500. We can look at that. Next support here at 6599 or 66. Quite a big range here. In the middle, I would say that we do have a little bit of a support here. Not as very strong because we do have a point here, but it's broken through quite strongly. I would like to consider this instead at 668, about 6685, right, as another interim support. A bit too near. I'll put this here. I'll put this here, and I'll consider this consolidation. Okay, so what I'll be looking for here is if the dollar does continue to weaken, right? Bounce around there, don't do anything. If it does break the down, then we could be looking for this push up onto the Aussie dollar. And you see in the short term, break above that 23.6. We could see it come up to that 61.8 level, or the next level. 61.8 is a good level, and then the next one here. Okay. So what I would say here is that you could be looking at a buy if it breaks out that consolidation above that 23.6 level. 6755 needs to close above, right? Your take profit could be almost 80 pips to the upside. You would make a decision at about that 61.8 level. Stop loss would be about 30 pips, right? Just below that consolidation for that to push up. That's a counter trend move. So bear in mind, it has been dropping since the 14th of July to the downside, consolidating. That's a counter trend move if it breaks out that consolidation. Alternatively, is what you could be looking for is for it to break to the downside, right? A little bit more aggressive. You could be looking for it to break out the low 6714, 6715. Stop loss 28, 30 pips even. Take profit. You'd see it go down to 66. Right, so in that consolidation, we're looking for either a break to the upside, a break to the downside, break out that consolidation. I would make this as a bit of an interim level. So you just be, if you want to be a bit more risk adverse, you could be looking for it to break below this point before getting in. But if not, if it breaks out, you could be looking for that trade. That's a bit too near 20 pips. Okay. Like that. Aussie. That makes sense. Okay. Trade strategy. Yeah, right. That's right, Ahmed. Okay, good stuff. Hey, Kegusi, how you doing? Hey, Velvez and Diggs. I think I would like this downside more because of the way the trend has been going. I would like to see it trade more to the downside. A bounce up could happen, but again, it's a counter trend move, would be a bit more tricky there. Okay, so I'll highlight, you know that there's a straddle strategy, but I'll highlight this one instead. So 6710, stop loss 30 pips, take profit 100 the downside. So Aussie USD, we're looking to sell 0.6710, stop loss 30, take profit 100. Okay, dollar shooting up. Why is dollar pushing to the upside? Quick check. I think it's because of the euro dollar dropping strongly, possibly because of a news. Very bad news here. German manufacturing PMI was 40, dropped down to a 38.8. So a very big downside there on the euro, on the German manufacturing PMI, and that's why we saw the euro dollar pushing to the downside, and that's why dollar pushing up. Okay, so remember that on the dollar, we're still looking at that point there at 101.60. I wouldn't be doing anything right now. What setting do I use on and what time frame H1? So right now everything's on H1 time frame. Setting is just a normal Fibonacci setting, so no special settings there. You got it, Magic. So it's a bad PMI on the euro, but you know the focus is not so much on the PMIs right now. I'm thinking possibly that we could see this spike down and then maybe bounce back up. So just be very careful there. Okay. Onto the pound dollar. I might revise the view on the dollar index towards the end of the session. We'll have a look at that. Onto the pound dollar, what you will notice is that we had that big upside because of that CPI data that we saw and I was telling you about. We saw that break 103. Now it looks like we're pushing to the downside here on the pound dollar. The big line here would be at 1.2753 as a support, currently at 1.2846 or 45. What I'll be looking for, next big support is here at 1.26. Okay, so I bring my up. Okay, at this point, very short-term trade would be if it breaks below this too short. I think it's too short trade. That's only a 50 pip move to the downside. Could be looking for that. I think that while I think that this could drop down, I think that this will be an M15 trade, not really an H1 kind of trade. Because stop loss is going to be a bit too random. Okay, so I think that on the pound dollar, if it does break below 1.2825, we could be looking to sell it down 1.2815, 25 pip down, stop loss 58, 60 pips to the next support. But I think the more attractive move is if we do see further dollar strength, whether it's going to break this support level and the 30 pip stop loss here, could see a big downward push on the pound dollar. Okay, So straight off the bat, I would say below 1.2815, 60 pip, 25. Pound dollar, looking to sell at 1.2815. Stop loss, say it's 25. Take profit at 60. But then we also have a longer term trade would be at sell of 1.275, stop loss 30, take profit 20. 1.275, stop loss 30, take profit 120. Okay, so if you're not able to catch this first move down, I would say that I'm actually more interested or more keen on this big push to the downside. Okay, with a bit of a consideration at about that 1.2670 level. Makes sense so far on the pound dollar. Don't rush into it yet. It's not ready. Not ready. Don't rush into it. Then onto the euro. Euro we did quite well there before. Big push to the upside. Little bit. See, this is where you could have done that straddle as well. Right, so it was in a straddle, now it's broken out. So as an example, just sharing with you guys, this is where you could be looking as a straddle, sell, stop loss, 35 pip, a take profit. You would, if you did a 1:1, 35 would have hit your take profit and got out. Okay, why I would say that you wouldn't want to rush into a trade right now is that you'll notice it's way outside of the Bollinger Band. It could continue to the downside, but I anticipate that we're going to see a little bit of a bounce before possibly continuing down or bounce for a full retracement. Outside Bollinger Band now, just be very careful. You can see a similar situation here, right? Broke out of that. If I move this consolidation up, very similar, right? It broke out, way outside Bollinger. Next moment, it comes back in, back up again. So if you didn't get into that trade or this trade because of the PMI, don't rush into it. It's possibly a little bit late right now. Went to the M15. Also notice that it's way outside. Next 5 minutes, could sit there and bounce back up. Okay, so on the euro dollar, given that we just saw this news, relatively bad news here, and the dollar is still pushing Macy euro dollar rebound. Yeah, right, and the dollar pushing back up, but no big reason why it should sustain that push to the upside. I would still like to see it drop. It's a bit funny, and that's why I say I might revise my view on the dollar index, just looking at everything across the pairs. But it all looks like it's trending to the downside. Might trend down a little bit, and then on Thursday might bounce back up. But I think that given we do have a level here, that's a bit of a resistance, broken that level. And then we did this to have a test of where the levels could be heading towards. Could see this happen. Could see it come down to this point. Okay. So what I would like to see here on the euro dollar would be a bounce. Right? If it does continue trading to the downside, it is feeling a bit of a gap here. It is feeling a bit of a gap here. I do think it's going to come down and then possibly bounce back up. But what I'll be looking for is whether it's going to test and then trade back down again on the euro dollar. So if it continues down, we've missed trade. But if it does bounce back up, then 1.11 or 1.1105, stop loss 40 pips, take profit down 100 pips to the downside. Right, so looking for a bounce before looking to sell down. If you're looking to continue trading this down, just be very careful. Right, so Euro USD, I'm looking to sell on the 1.1105. Stop loss is about 40. Take profit 100. Okay, is it going to bounce? 2 minutes to the candle close and 15. I do think very likely it's going to do that. You know, 1 minute, sitting right across there now. I'm not sure if it's going to bounce all the way back up, but we should see it come about that point. Okay, so just watch this. Most likely going to bounce. If not in this 2 minutes, it might be into the next at the start of the hour. Okay, this will be quite keen to watch. Then onto the US Swiss franc. Take all that away. Broke new lows. Right, when we're not watching, when I haven't been watching the US Swiss franc, it breaks new lows. Whenever I'm watching it, it doesn't do too much. Again, broke out that consolidation. We do have our next level, our big levels up here. Interim level, our big support level is here, 8558. Now breaking out that consolidation, round number at 0.87 as well. Needs to break out of that. So if we do see the dollar continue to push up, right, just watch out for that 50% level here. I would say that it needs to break above 0.87. Big downward move on the Swiss franc. Looking at this, seeing this big push down. 3 is right there, which has broken already. Needs to break above 30.87. I think that what we're going to see here on the US Swiss franc is that it's still within this range, right? It's still within this range that way, and it's trying to break, not ready yet. Looking at the way the dollar is moving, looks like it could push up a little bit more. So looking for it to break out of this area, could climb to the next point of 8787 on dollar strength. If we see dollar strengthen, then we're going to see this push to the upside. I would like to see it continue on the trend back down. Okay, so here is one idea where you could be looking to buy it up. 80 pips, 90 pips to the upside. So 8690, stop loss 40 pips, take profit 90 pips to the upside. Still in that range. Again, another straddle there. You're looking to sell down 8638, stop loss 50 pips, take profit about 76 pips to the downside. Right, so looking at this, there is that range that it needs to break out of, needs to close. It's all dependent on what the dollar index is going to do. Right now, it looks like it's retracing back down again. Okay, so I would say that unless it does break out, you might be even safer to look at 8687. Could be looking at a tighter stop, about 30 pips for that 80 pip move, and then to break down 8640, might be looking at a 30 pip stop loss, then a 70 pip, 75 pip take profit to the downside. Might even 860, 30 pip. There we go. I'll be more happy with this, right? So why I'm adjusting this, not based on the initial view, why I'm adjusting this, I just want it to have a little bit more space for it to break out. I'll zoom in a bit. Right, I just want it to have a little bit more space for it to break out and to close before you do get into a trade. If it was too near, it would have broken out. You get into a trade, next moment it could come back into the range again. Okay, so give it a bit more space, especially in that consolidation. Breakout to the upside, 87. If it breaks above 0.87, then you could be looking at a 30 pip stop loss, 80 pip take profit to the upside. If it breaks down, then 8630, 30 pip stop loss, 60 or 70 pip take profit to the downside. All right. So USD CHF. I missed my yen. I'll get to that. Right. Buy at 87, 0.87, 30 pip stop loss, 80 pip take profit. 87, stop loss, 30 take profit. Or sell at 0.8630, 30 pip stop loss, 70 pip take. Sell at 0.8786 630, stop loss 30, take profit 70. All right, all good, all good. Euro dollar is retracing a little bit, not much. Let's see what happens on the close of the hour. Okay. Then onto the yen. I can't believe I missed out on the yen. This was one of the trades that I did last week. Right? I saw the bounce. I traded the bounce to the upside. Clear it out for now. On the US yen, big support here at 137.40. Bounced off. If we looked at this, hit that 61.8 level. Right, 61.8 right there. Hit that retracement and failed to break higher. So because of that, I'm looking at the possibility, right? Again, we were looking at this pushing down because of the Euro news. We saw the dollar index push up. Overall, I was thinking that we could see the dollar trade down. So in this case, if you look at this Kiwi dollar, looking to buy it up, if we see that dollar weakness come in, Aussie dollar sell down if you dollar strength come back into play. So we have our bases covered there. We're a little bit more onto the dollar strength on the pound and on the euro. I think it's not so much the dollar strength, but more the weakness in the pound and the euro that's playing the idea on this trade setup. USD CHF is a straddle because it's all dependent on what the dollar index is going to do. Okay, so here on the USD JPY, what I'll be looking at is if it fails to break above this 61.8 level. Right, if it fails to break above 61.8, then we could see this trade back down with a level here, 3920, 3980, say in this range. Something here. That way, that's why I was undecided, either this level 39 or this level here. So I would say that this 61.8 is going to be quite interesting. So 3920 there. Okay, because of this 1.8 level. So look for it to close below 141. I think we can play a little bit safer here. Break below 141, then looking to sell down. So 141, stop loss. Don't need to be that big. It doesn't need to be that 90 pips. I think that because it's broken that round number level, and keep it quite tight. If it breaks below this point, okay, then I would say that's 141.24. So below, I'll be a bit safer and say below 141. Stop loss 50. Then take profit could go down to that almost 175 to the downside. Right, so big move expected here on the US yen. It's not going, I don't think it's going to happen today. I think that it would be something that happens possibly with FOMC statement, first move, and then after that also with the Bank of Japan decision as well. Right? Unless we see some major upset here, but it doesn't look like we're primed for that. So I think that we could see a big move on the US yen, 141, stop loss 50, take profit 175. Uh, 141, stop loss 50, take profit 75. Go. Euro CHF, I can do that. And also the US 500 as well. Let's get to the US CAD. Get to that. US CAD, right? Look at that. Lines were there from before. Take all of that away. It's still in that range. Very strong resistance there at 1.3235. 0.3235. area, providing a very strong resistance. Support is at almost 1.31, being a support level there. Okay, what I would say straightforward is if that dollar weakness does come back into play, could see this trade to the downside, maintaining within the range. Right, so maintaining within this range, could be looking for it to break below 1.3195. I like how it's threatening 1.32, so 1.3195. Stop loss, very tight. Take profit, I don't think maximum of 95, but I think that if you went for 70, it would be reasonable. Stop loss could be at 40, but I like that it's broken a round number level, so you could even be looking at 20. Right, trading within the range, keeping your risk quite small. 131.95, 1.3195, stop loss 20, take profit 70 within that range. Keeping within that range. So US CAD, we're looking at sell 1.3195, stop loss 20, take profit, what was it again? 70. There we go. Okay. Then on to gold. Anyone's been trading gold much? Gold has been gold. Look at what gold has been doing. Big push up. It's been trending, or it's been short-term trending quite nicely. If you were trading gold, right? Failed to break. It was at that 1987 level, 1887.50 level before a big retrace. So I'll take all of that away for now. And I'll show you this, where gold was doing that. Right? It has a big support trend line to the upside, supported to push up. What I'm looking for here is that it does break, looking for it to break above, close above this point, that 1965 level. Right? Because of these points here, right? All the way up to this point, so 1965. Needs to break above with that trend line supporting, breaking above the resistance. I think that especially if we do see the dollar weaken further, we could see gold trade up 1965 or 1968 if you want to be extra safe. Right, 1968 is about there. Push up towards that 1986 level. Okay, so I think good upside potential on gold as well. Break above 1988. Could trade up to 1986. 86, 50. Right? Go. You see now that the hour has just closed. Dollar showing a little bit of a retracement. If we looked at the euro dollar, showing a little retracement, hesitation, sitting there, looking at pushing down. I think still a little bit early. Just give it some time. And then onto the US 500. Steve was saying, what kind of positions did you have open on that for the US 500, Steve? I hope you were buying it up. I hope you were buying it up. Right? Looking at this big trend to the upside. . Expected to now showing some trend line support. Right? Showing a little bit of a retracement. 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 Right? Sh strength. That's why we're seeing this push down. I think that we could see it trade down to 43.83. That's a big retrace. Looking at the way it's moving, we could see it trade back down a little bit before pushing back up. Overall trend still to the upside, so I'm not going to say it's going to turn back down strongly. I think a small retrace before pushing higher. But what you'd also notice is that it is very high. Right? The last time we broke above this point was August 22. We are at about the April 22 level. Big resistance there. And another one at 44.76. So I think what we could see here is sort of a consolidate. I would like to see a retrace. I think a retrace is healthy. So 43.92. Bit of a retrace before pushing back up again. What did I get? 10. Toasted. Absolutely toasted. But I was indoors a lot more. That's why. Right? I think that we could see this that. Okay. Then with that, Ahmed was asking about the Euro CHF pushing down. Right? Why it's pushing down is because of the euro dollar trading to the downside from the news at that big support level here of 96, 0.96. I wouldn't want it to break. Right? It's a bit odd to say that, but I wouldn't want it to break because if it does break, then we're going to see a lot of choppy price movements. I would say that looking for this might bounce back up. Right, I'm possibly looking for this to bounce, trade within this range of about 96.50. I think it's going to stay within this range. Not super exciting on the Euro CHF 50 pip range there. I've already said break even as it's going up. Very nice. Very nice. Always good to secure profits. Okay, so quick recap. Kiwi dollar still pushing to the upside, looking for that to continue. Aussie dollar within the range as somewhat expected. Yen also within the range, setting up. You need a lot of patience for this setup, but if you can wait for it, get ready, put it higher on the list. I think it could play out quite nicely. Pound dollar not ready yet. Euro dollar still pushing down, so it looks like it might not retrace fully. If you want to trade to the downside, then you'll be on a smaller time frame, shorter time frame kind of trades, more managed. You have to manage this position a lot more. US Swiss franc could break out this to the upside, something to watch. Not something that I would trade a lot of. And then US CAD, again, setting up quite nicely as well. But just be careful, this is in that middle of that range, trading that range to the downside. Okay, so it's good to be back. We will have a session tomorrow as well. If you do have any questions, do take our discussions beyond this session, put it into the Discord channel. Let me know if you have any questions. What I would do as well is that I will keep this stream running for the next couple of hours. I'll update it as we go along. So if you want to trade together with me, we can do this. I'll turn off the sound, turn off the camera, but I will be still monitoring the charts. I'll be updating ideas as it develops. With that said, trade well, trade safe, stay on the stream if you want, get onto Discord if you want. If not, I'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m., same time, same place. Take care now. Bye-bye. Link to Discord is in the on TradingView. It's in the signatures there. The free trading community is in my signature, and on YouTube, it's there as well. Alrighty, thank you, PM. Thanks, Carsten. Thanks, Vel.